Now, Court at 3 is a very specialized family court. It is a designated child protection court. It handles approximately 20% of Montgomery County family cases and all of the CPS cases. The bench is currently held by Amy Tucker, and the candidates in this race are Amy and Laura Watson. Let them introduce themselves. Thanks, guys.
All right, so yes, welcome. Laura, if you would start us off with your opening statement, and then Amy, we can go to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Laura Watson, and I am running for judge in County Court at Law number 3. As you've just heard from Ms. Connie, this court is primarily a family specialization court, which also incorporates the child welfare docket. I am board certified in family law, and which makes me more than qualified to be able to manage this court. Management, in my opinion, is a key thing in managing any type of court that we have. So I'm the only candidate with managerial experience, having worked in corporate America for almost 12 years prior to my early midlife crisis and going to law school. That has given me the experience and the opportunity to learn not only how to manage hundreds of staff, but also manage multi-million-dollar contracts. And I cannot emphasize enough, this court is a business. The budget is your taxpayer dollars. I'm also the only candidate with hands-on experience in dealing with hundreds of people that have come through this courtroom, as well as hundreds of children, as they experienced the trauma of going through any type of family divorce matter or modification where the family is falling apart. This has given me immediate insight on being able to understand the dynamics of how important a court decision is and how it impacts that family as a whole. I'm also the only candidate that has actually owned and managed my own successful law practice for the last 15 years right here in Conroe, Texas, of which I am very proud. And finally, I'm the only candidate who's consistently served within the community in terms of giving back and working with civic organizations, volunteering, and really, more importantly, working specifically on boards that serve the needs of children, such as Access Builds Children and Love Heals Youth. Now, there's a lot of talk of the importance of this being a CPS court, and I absolutely agree and embrace that. It's important to understand how important it is for children to be able to relate and understand the needs that they have when they have a broken family. I was adopted as a child, which gives me the direct insight and understanding the importance.
Right, thank you. Your time is up.
So sorry.
Was it 30 minutes? 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
There you go.
That was quick. I know. All right, you can go ahead with your opening statement, Amy.
All right, good evening. I'm Judge Amy Tucker, and thank you so much for coming out tonight. I've been a judge for this court for a little over 9 years. I was the associate judge for 8.5 years, and then appointed by the commissioners as the presiding judge on July 1st. And this is the designated child protection court for the county, which means we handle the court cases for all of the foster children in the county. I spearheaded the efforts as an associate judge to bring all of those cases to County Court at Law 3, because I believe that those cases deserve to be in a court heard by a judge who is committed to those cases and who is an expert in that area of the law. I'm one of the top experts in the state of Texas in child welfare law, and I'm one of only 47 attorneys in the entire state of Texas who's double board certified in family law and child welfare law, the two specialty areas. My associate judge and I have plans to make County Court at Law 3 one of the very best child protection courts in the country. At the end of April, he and I will be 2 of 5 judges in the state of Texas and 2 of only 17 in the entire country who are certified in TBRI, which is the most widely accepted methodology for treating children who have been traumatized. All of our foster children have experienced trauma, and we are committed to getting the tools in place and developing the skill set that will allow us to make the best possible decisions to give them a chance at a life that's full of hope and happiness and love and possibility. I'm asking you to keep me in this position and give us a chance to make a real difference for these children. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Amy, we will start with you with the first question, and then Laura, you can respond to that same question. All right, to start off, so we've recently reported on a rising number of youth in DFPS custody spending a longer time without an adequate placement over the last year or two. So what do you feel you can do in this position, if elected, to improve outcomes for children specifically in Montgomery County?
So I completely agree with you. We are in the midst of a foster care crisis, the likes of which I have not seen in the over 20 years I've been dealing with these cases. The reasons for that are complicated and go back over the last decade. Right now we do have a population of foster children who have no placement. They are called child without a placement. Generally, with a lot of our foster kids, we have to have hearings every 6 months. I'm having to have hearings every 3 to 4 weeks for a lot of those children to make sure that they are getting into safe places. I firmly believe that we need more foster homes and less facilities. I say on a regular basis to everyone in my court, I think every child should be in a home with a loving adult who looks across the table and asks them how their day was. I think that makes the difference. So my hope is to increase the number of foster homes and have as few children as possible in facilities. Thank you.
Well, I think the primary concern that we all have to look at is the time frame that there is for these, what we call CPS cases. According to our statute, these cases are supposed to be completed and closed within 12 months. Unfortunately, right now, these cases are taking significantly longer, which, in my opinion, is affecting the delay and the congestion within our court. As you've already heard, this is one of the fastest growing counties, not only just in our state, but also in our nation, which means we need additional resources. I think that it's imperative for us to be able to go out and try to pull in outside resources if necessary, so that way these children can get direction and help. There also needs to be additional insight in terms of how we can find additional placement for some of these children, because some of the homes that we did have designed originally for them, for example, Treehouse, have been shut down because they haven't had proper oversight. And I believe that is a critical factor that we can't just do from a court level. We have to ask for our help from our state and from our legislatures, because we need to protect these children. With regards to foster care and foster placements, absolutely it is difficult to find the people that are willing to give back, and all we can do is pray that we can continue to ask that more people would come and serve these children. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Laura, we'll stay with you for the next question. So you've already touched on the growth, but specifically, what are your plans to kind of help manage this growth in cases that we'll experience just as the county grows in the coming years?
I think the key thing that we have to look at is the efficiency within the court. The way this court is set up, you have a parent court and then you have an associate court. I believe that there are ways that maybe the structure of this court can be managed and restructured, so that way the court is managed and run on a regular basis instead of one court doing one type of case, the other associate court doing a second type of case. I believe there's no reason why the judges cannot be cross-trained, where if one docket is still overflowing and the second docket is finished, you go pick those cases up so those people don't have to come back. I think it's also important to prioritize those cases, whether it be from the age of the case or whether it be from the severity of the case, whether it be a protective order or something that is dealing with harm to an immediate person or to the family, especially the children. I think it is important for us to be able to go and prioritize how we manage that case, which again comes back to the management not only of the docket, but also of the court. As we continue to grow, that need is going to continue to grow. And so we have to be prepared to think ahead. My biggest thing that I think that we can do is find a way to keep these families out of litigation by providing potential services or things they have to complete before they ever walk into the courtroom to begin with. Thank you.
Yes, so we've talked about growth. So specifically, what are your plans to kind of help manage that growth in cases that we'll likely see in coming years just as the county continues to grow?
Okay, so I do believe that, especially in family cases and the child welfare cases, that people need to have their cases heard quickly and expediently, and we try to do that to the best of our ability in County Court Law 3. And we don't have separate courts for each type of law. So my associate judge, who has 27 years of family law experience and 15 years of board certification in family law, has hit the ground running on July 1, getting educated in child welfare cases. And he hears child welfare cases, and I, of course, hear quite a bit of family law myself. So we're already doing that. But I do check on a monthly basis. I consult with the other family judges, specifically the tenured family court judge with 418th, to make sure that the disposition rates of all 3 family courts are at optimum rates. Because I want to make sure that not just our court, but all 3 family courts are running with judicial efficiency. And if those numbers ever look like they're lopsided or one court's not handling cases as well as the other, then the 3 of us get together, we make adjustments. So I think we should continue doing what we're doing. Right now, the numbers look very good. You can look at them on our website, they're posted. And I think we can just continue doing what we're doing. Thank you.
All right, and then on to our last question for the evening. So what do you see as the most important issues facing this court, and just how would you plan to address those?
I think the most important issue facing our court right now is the foster care crisis, without a doubt. I will say that over the last 8.5 years in dealing with our family docket, I do have a lot of concern about all of our children stuck in families with conflict. I talk to so many kids in chambers, and all they want is for their parents to get along. And I really think that we as judges and in the court system need to do as much as possible to encourage the adults in a child's life to be a united front, whether that's a foster child or whether that's a child in a family case. Kids who are living in chaos through conflict or even through trauma, abuse, and neglect, they just need a loving adult, and they need all the adults in their lives to have one singular goal of making sure that they're happy and healthy. So I will continue to look at ways to improve on that, and I'm hoping that we can start looking at ways to help with the foster care situation at the local level. Thank you.
I think the key thing that we need to focus on right now is, I think we've already touched on, is growth within our county. As we continue to grow, that means more families, more children that we have to watch out for, more families, more children that we have to help manage through it. Again, I believe if there are ways that we can put systems in place to try to potentially avoid litigation, maybe it is requiring a co-parenting class before you're allowed to file a case. Maybe you have to jump through some more hoops and actually do mediation prior to filing that case. Trying to resolve your case before it comes to the point of having to actually come into the courtroom, which then delays the process. I believe it is important to understand what these families and these children are going through. Again, I'm the only candidate that has actually gotten out into the field for the last 18 years and held the hands of those people, held the hands and hugged those babies when they're going and trying to deal with this trauma. I believe that the only way you can understand how to try to fix and right the wrong is to having been doing it there before. I believe with regards to the foster care system as well, there is absolutely a crisis out there. And that's where we have to figure out how to fix that system. Right now, our system is broken, and we need every asset and every avenue that we can find. And if this is what our court is going to be managing and this is what we do, then it's our responsibility to find it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies.